Welcome back to JForrest English. I'm Jennifer, and today we're going to read a very interesting news article together, and you're going to learn a lot of advanced vocabulary to help you sound like a native English speaker. Let's get started.
First, I'll read the headline. Gwyneth Paltrow faces backlash after listing guest house on Airbnb to make the world a little less lonely. Some commenters called Paltrow's partnership with Airbnb out of touch. So here's Gwyneth Paltrow. She's a famous actor, but I cannot think of one movie she is in. So what about you? Do you know any movies Gwyneth Paltrow's in? If so, share in the comments below. And this is the guest house that will be available on Airbnb. So if you're interested, you could stay here, and some pictures of the guest house. So let's review this headline here. So first, let's start with backlash. Backlash is a noun, it's a something, and it's a strong negative reaction to a decision, announcement, or change. So in this case, Gwyneth Paltrow announced that her guest house will be available on Airbnb, and apparently people were not happy about that. There was some sort of a negative reaction. I know that simply because of the word backlash. So I don't even need to read any more of the article. I know that people were not happy. So a company might receive backlash for implementing a new policy, like a dress code, for example. So you can receive backlash, you can face backlash. So this would be the verb that goes with the noun backlash. Receive, face, those are common verbs. After listing guest house, in headlines of articles, they will omit certain grammatical structures like articles. So this is a news article, but an article in the English language is the, or an. So in this case, guest house, this is a singular countable noun. So grammatically, I actually need to have an article. After listing her guest house, because it belongs to her, that would be the correct choice. You could say a guest house if it was any guest house, but it's not just any guest house, it's a specific guest house and it belongs to her. You could also say the guest house to represent a specific guest house, but you would also have to specify what that guest house is. The guest house that belongs to her. So rather than doing that, you can just say her guest house. So you do need an article grammatically, but in the headlines of newspaper articles, it is very common to omit the grammatical structure of an article. Okay, so her guest house on Airbnb, and the reason why is to make the world a little less lonely. I don't know why people are reacting negatively towards that. I'm not sure. We'll find out. Some commenters, a commenter is a person who comments. Okay, I'll write that for you. A person who comments, and this could be a text-based comment to a social media post, or it could also be an oral comment at a presentation, conference, or meeting. So if you comment on my videos by saying, "Thanks, Jennifer, I love this video," if you think so, put that in the comments, then you are a commenter. So you can say, "I'm a commenter." So put that in the comments, and then automatically you are a commenter because you put that in the comments. So put this in the comments right now so you can become a commenter. Some commenters called Paltrow's partnership with Airbnb out of touch. Let's take a look at out of touch. This is a very common idiom. If you describe someone or something as out of touch, you're saying that they're not informed. They're not informed with the latest, the most recent about something specific, or simply they don't have the same ideas as most people. usually because they're not informed. For example, the company wants you to fax them the invoice. Fax them. Seriously, that's so out of touch. Today, nobody uses fax machines. So if you are suggesting that someone should use a fax machine, well, then you are just not informed and you don't have the same idea as most people who would obviously suggest email. And you can specify what they are out of touch with. So out of touch with technology, for example. You don't have to. You can just say that's so out of touch. And then it's obvious that is technology because that's the topic of the example. I don't know why announcing this on Airbnb caused backlash and caused people to say she's out of touch. I'm not sure. So let's keep reading and find out. Now, first of all, don't worry about writing all these notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. So you can look in the description for the link to download the free PDF. Let's continue. Very nice guest house, isn't it? American actor and businesswoman Gwyneth Paltrow faced swift social media backlash. Okay, you already know what backlash is. And now they're saying social media backlash. So the negative reactions were on social media. So that's where you saw the negative reactions in the comment section by the commenters. And you are now a commenter as well, hopefully with something positive, not backlash, hopefully. Notice how they use actor, but in this case, they use businesswoman. Actor in the past was only used to describe males, and then actress was used for females, but that is not something that in modern usage of English people continue to use. So she is an actress, but you can also call her an actor. But the opposite does not work. So you can't call a man an actress. That doesn't sound correct. But now actor has become gender neutral in the English language, and it refers to men and women. Men, women. So it's gender neutral. So if someone keeps referring to someone as an actress, you can say, well, actually, that's a little out of touch because in modern usage, you don't need to specify actress. You can simply use actor for both men and women. All right. American actor and businesswoman Gwyneth Paltrow faced swift social media backlash. Again, remember this verb here, face, receive. And now swift. If something is swift, it means it happened quickly. So as an alternative, you can say, thank you for your swift reply instead of thank you for your quick reply. Thank you for your swift reply. So now you've added that to your vocabulary. Swift social media backlash and was called out of touch. You know what this idiom means now. After announcing a new partnership with Airbnb that she said will make the world a little less lonely. So this basically repeated the headline, but repetition when you're learning something is always beneficial. So I want to see if you're enjoying this lesson, if you enjoy learning from the news, because if you do, then I know you'll love the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English and add the most common and advanced vocabulary and grammatical structures to your speech so you can sound fluent and natural, just like a native speaker. And you'll have me as your personal coach. So you can look for the link in the description for more information on how to join. Let's continue. In a video posted on Instagram earlier this week, the Oscar-winning film and television star said she's listing her guest house in Montecito, California, on the popular homestay site, which is Airbnb. This is the popular homestay site, Airbnb, and I know that because they previously mentioned Airbnb. Airbnb. What about you? Do you like staying at Airbnbs? Put that in the comment. I'd love to know. I personally love Airbnb. I generally don't stay at hotels anymore. I always stay at Airbnbs because I love having a kitchen so I can make my meals, and I find it's just more comfortable. What about you? And notice here, you list something on and then a site. So let's say you're selling a cell phone, an old cell phone, or a car, or anything. You could list your phone on Craigslist or on Facebook Marketplace, for example. Here's an example, and this is a true example. You may have watched my short where I talked about selling my car. Well, I listed my car on Facebook, the Facebook Marketplace. I listed my car on Facebook, and it sold in 1 week. Now, if I list an item somewhere on a specific site, it means I make it available for purchase or for use. So I did that. What about you? Have you listed any items on any websites? Now, in this case, she says hosting up to 2 guests. Up to. In this case, up to represents the maximum amount. So if you're writing your IELTS or any kind of exam, they might say you have up to 20 minutes to complete the writing section. Up to 20 minutes. This is a maximum of 20 minutes. A maximum of is the more formal way. So honestly, in the instructions for a test, most likely it will say a maximum of, because this is the more formal way. And just an alternative, perhaps more casual way is you can say up to. You have up to 20 minutes. So this house will host up to 2 guests, a maximum of 2 guests for a 1-night stay. Loneliness. Now, pay attention because quotation marks are here. So I know that someone is saying this. This is a quote, and I know that because of the quotation marks. Loneliness is a human condition, but in the past few years, increased isolation and our lack of community has made our lives even more fragmented. Fragmented is an adjective, and it means consisting of several separate parts. So she's saying has made our lives even more fragmented. So in the past, perhaps you had one part that represented an entire family unit, and you had these large families that lived together. But now if your lives are fragmented, it means this one family unit is in separate parts. So maybe the parents are here in one house or one city, one country. One child is studying abroad. Another child is working in a different city. The grandparents live somewhere else, the brothers, the aunts, the uncles. So this family unit that was together is now fragmented, which means separated into different parts. She wrote in the post. So remember, this is quoting, and the she is Gwyneth Paltrow. So these are the words that she said, but it sounds like she wrote it in a post. So she didn't actually say them out loud. She wrote them in the post. And then she goes on because there's another quotation mark. So I know she's continuing. Now, this was in the post. So she put at Airbnb. So Airbnb was tagged in the post. Airbnb had the brilliant idea of doing something to make the world a little less lonely, which is why I'm inviting you to come stay at my Montecito guest house for a night. So remember here, for a night, a represents one. So here it's for a night, come stay for a night, or for a 1-night stay. So these are different ways of saying the exact same thing. For a night, for a one-night stay. Now notice here, come stay at my place. This is how a native speaker would invite someone. So let's say your friend is coming from out of town and your friend says, oh, I'm just going to get an Airbnb. I'm going to get an Airbnb, which means they're going to book a Airbnb. I'm going to get an Airbnb. And you can say, don't be silly. Come stay with me. Come stay with me for a night, 2 nights, your entire stay, whatever that might be. So I wrote this here. Don't be silly. Come stay with me. This could be something that a native speaker uses to invite someone. Now, not necessarily the don't be silly. That depends on context. Why did I add this? Well, it might be silly for my very good friend to spend money on an Airbnb in the city I live in when I have an extra bedroom and would love to have that friend in my house so we can spend time together. So that's why it's silly for that friend. So you don't necessarily have to include this part, but it is a common thing. Don't be silly. Come stay with me. While we may begin as strangers, okay, notice the quotation continues. These are still the words of Gwyneth Paltrow. And remember, she wrote this in a post. While we may begin as strangers, I hope we'll find connections and commonalities. Commonalities, you could also say things in common. I hope we'll find connections and things in common. So things in common, commonalities, this is when two people or two things share the same interests, ideas, beliefs, or features. Now, notice I said two people or two things, because if it's things, then they could share the same features. For example, there are many commonalities between iOS and Android. I don't know if that's true. That's just an example. And of course, I might say, oh, well, my friend and I, we have many commonalities. We have many things in common. And then I could talk about the things we have in common. We went to the same school. We are both English teachers. We both love traveling, for example. So she says, I hope we'll find connections and commonalities over a delicious meal. When you do something over and then another activity, it means during. So the duration of. Over a delicious meal, it's the duration of that delicious meal. While we're having a delicious meal, we'll talk. And as we're talking, I might say, oh yeah, I really love yoga. And then Gwyneth Paltrow, oh my God, I love yoga too. Well, we just found a commonality. So over, during, while, it's the same meaning. In the course of. Over a delicious meal, she added. Okay, let's continue. In the video, the actor, remember, gender neutral. In the video, the actor gives a tour of her picturesque residence. This is a very nice adjective, picturesque. If something is picturesque, it means it's just very beautiful to look at. It is a very nice sight. So this would be a great adjective to describe an entire city or a town or just a building or house in a city or town. But you can describe a whole city or just one aspect of a city or place as picturesque. A tour of her picturesque residence, noting guests will receive products from Goop, Paltrow's modern lifestyle brand. I have never heard of Goop. Have you? I guess it's Gwyneth Paltrow's modern lifestyle brand. She goes on to share a video of her pool and cozy dining area. Cozy is another great adjective, especially in the context of a house. So you will see this a lot in real estate listings to describe a room or a house as cozy. To me, cozy means warm and comfortable. So let me spell this correctly for you, comfortable. So if this dining area is described as cozy, I picture really comfortable couches, lots of pillows, maybe some blankets that I can get nice and warm with. Maybe there's a fire going, and all of that gives the image of warm and comfortable, cozy. So you can use it for real estate to describe an entire house, a room. We also use it for clothing. A sweater, most likely you have that one sweater you always put on after work or at the end of your day because it's very cozy. It's warm and comfortable. So you could say, this sweater is so cozy, warm and comfortable. This sweater, this blanket, these sheets are so cozy, for example. But some social media users were having none of it. Oh, okay. Here we get to the backlash. Why are people angry about this? Why are they having a negative reaction? Because if they were having none of it, it means that they were not accepting what she is saying. So for example, let's say you were late to work and you tried to explain that your alarm didn't go off or you were stuck in traffic, but your boss was having none of it. Your boss was not accepting what you were saying. So that's a good expression. I wrote that definition there for you. But some social media users, some commenters, were having none of it. With some quick to point out, when you point something out, you draw attention to it, you identify it. So I'll put that there, to identify. And then remember, quick, we also learned what was the other adjective that you can use? With some swift to point out. Swift to point out, quick to point out that the initiative, her initiative of offering her guest home for a one-night stay. Remember, that's her initiative. Her initiative, where are we? Her initiative will do little to address loneliness for those most vulnerable. What do you think about that? Is that true? Is that reason for the backlash? Others mentioned the listing will likely be unaffordable for many fans. So obviously, if something is unaffordable, it means they cannot afford it. But I'll just show you that alternative to be. And notice this is be unaffordable, not able to afford it. Will be unaffordable for many fans. Okay, so this is the reason for the backlash. It won't address loneliness and it will be unaffordable. Those two reasons. There's no price listed for Paltrow's residence, which is open for booking starting August 5th. Okay, so on August 5th, you can go on Airbnb and see how much this is. And it's unclear whether the stay is paid or free through a competition. Oh, okay, so not just free, it's free through a competition. So maybe the competition could be that guests have to submit a video explaining why they want to meet Gwyneth Paltrow, and the best video wins, and the prize is they get to stay. That's an interesting idea. What do you think about that? Shortly after announcing the partnership with Airbnb and receiving an onslaught of backlash, we already know what backlash is: negative reaction to someone's decision, announcement, policy change. Now notice here is an onslaught of backlash. An onslaught of, and then something suggests that the something came quickly and aggressively. So she posted this at, let's just say, noon. And then by 12:05 or 12:15, there were already a lot of negative reactions in the comments. People said, I'm having none of this. This is so out of touch. Give me a break, or some sort of negative reaction. And it came quickly and aggressively, an onslaught of backlash. Paltrow announced she was stepping back from social media. Let's take a look at this phrasal verb, to step back. She announced she was stepping back from social media. When you step back from something or from an activity, it means that you stop that activity or you stop your involvement in that activity, but it's temporary. So you only temporarily stop. So for a period of time, I don't know how long, a day, a weekend, a week, a month, I'm not sure, she's going to stop using social media. But she'll be back on social media after a period of time because she's just stepping back from social media. Now, if I said, okay, everyone, I'm stepping back from my YouTube channel, then you would expect you wouldn't see any new videos or you wouldn't see any new posts. But don't worry, I'm not announcing that. It's just an example. And why did she step back? Well, remember, she received that onslaught of backlash. So the backlash, negative reactions, and the onslaught means it happened quite quickly and it happened quite aggressively. So maybe she was really excited about this initiative. She thought it was a really good idea. And then she posted it and she was like, oh, I can't wait. And then she checks and it's just all this negativity. So that could be why she stepped back from social media. And that is the end of the article. Now, I want you to be a commenter. I want you to comment. So here are two things you can comment on. Do you think the onslaught of backlash was justified based on what you just learned in this article? So that's one you can comment on. So you can be a commenter. And the other one, the one I'm more interested in, if I listed my home on Airbnb, would you come stay? Would you come stay with me for a one-night stay, have dinner, and discuss our commonalities? What do you think? Would you stay? Put that in the comments so you can be a commenter. Now what I'll do is I'll read this article from start to finish, and this time you can focus on my pronunciation. Gwyneth Paltrow faces backlash after listing guest house on Airbnb to make the world a little less lonely. Some commenters called Paltrow's partnership with Airbnb out of touch. American actor and businesswoman Gwyneth Paltrow faced swift social media backlash and was called out of touch after announcing a new partnership with Airbnb that she said will make the world a little less lonely. In a video posted on Instagram earlier this week, the Oscar-winning film and television star said she's listing her guest house in Montecito, California, on the popular homestay site, hosting up to 2 guests for a one-night stay. Loneliness is a human condition, but in the past few years, increased isolation and our lack of community has made our lives even more fragmented, she wrote in the post. Airbnb had the brilliant idea of doing something to make the world a little less lonely, which is why I'm inviting you to come stay at my Montecito guest house for a night. While we may begin as strangers, I hope we'll find connections and commonalities over a delicious meal, she added. In the video, the actor gives a tour of her picturesque residence, noting guests will receive products from Goop, Paltrow's modern lifestyle brand. She goes on to share a video of her pool and cozy dining area. But some social media users were having none of it, with some quick to point out that the initiative will do little to address loneliness for those most vulnerable. Others mentioned the listing will likely be unaffordable for many fans. There's no price listed for Paltrow's residence, which is open for booking starting August 5th, and it's unclear whether the stay is paid or free through a competition. Shortly after announcing the partnership with Airbnb and receiving an onslaught of backlash, Paltrow announced she was stepping back from social media.
So, did you comment on this lesson? Are you a commenter? Make sure you're a commenter by leaving a comment. And I can't wait to see what you say in the comments. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And why don't you get started with your next lesson right now?